This video describes the theory of induction generator and some practical aspects associated with it. When an induction motor is connected to the supply system, is driven by a prime mover, and if the speed of operation is above the synchronous speed, then the machine will generate power and feed into the supply system. As seen in the torque slip characteristics, when the speed is more than the synchronous speed, that is, the slip is negative, the torque will also be negative, and that is a condition for machine to work as generator. In the generating mode also, the machine will follow the torque slip characteristics similar to the motor mode. The magnetizing current to create rotating magnetic field in the machine is drawn from the supply itself. Induction generator cannot produce reactive power. It actually consumes reactive power. One major difference of induction generator compared to the synchronous generator is that the voltage cannot be controlled by field control or anything inside the machine. The terminal voltage is decided by external components or the system. Induction generator can be operated in grid connected mode or isolated mode. And these machines are generally used in wind generators because they can change speed of operation to some extent with a change in wind velocity. Induction generators can operate in two different modes. In the grid connected mode of operation, the machine is simply connected to the grid, and when the speed is more than the synchronous speed, it will generate power and feed into the supply. The capacitor bank connected across the machine is for power factor correction, and it is not essential for normal operation. We can also have local loads if required. In the isolated mode of operation, the generator supplies to a local load, and a capacitor bank is essential for generating the excitation and voltage. Next, we will try to explain the performance of induction generator with the help of circle diagrams. What you see here is a circle diagram of an induction motor. If we complete the circle by drawing the other side of it, that portion will represent the generator operation of the machine. We can have the operating point P on the circle and evaluate the performance parameters. Here the length PD will be the electrical output generated by the induction generator. Similar to induction motor, GD represents the constant losses, FG the stator copper loss, and EF the rotor copper loss. The total length of the line PE will be the mechanical input. From the values we can calculate the efficiency and other parameters. The output current is represented by OP. Isolated mode of operation in induction generator is a bit complicated. With the help of an equivalent circuit, we shall try to explain the current flow associated with an induction generator connected to a resistive load. From the equivalent circuit, the sum of the load current IL and the capacitor current IC will be equal to the sum of the magnetizing current I0 and the rotor side current I2 dash on the other side. There should be a balance between the currents, and if any one parameter changes, it will affect other parameters as well. Any change in capacitor current or load current will also affect the induced voltage. The capacitor current should be large enough to maintain the balance. When there is a change in load, the magnitude of I2 dash changes and the requirement for capacitance increases to maintain specified generated voltage. When the load is inductive, the load current phasor changes like this, and the requirement of capacitor current is higher. Therefore, to maintain specified terminal voltage, there should be a suitable match between the load current and the capacitor current. The graph here shows how the magnetization properties and capacitor current are important in developing the terminal voltage of the induction generator. For a given value of capacitance value, the capacitor current increases linearly with the voltage. But the development of voltage with respect to magnetizing current is affected by the magnetic saturation. The induced voltage is decided by the meeting point of these two curves. Consider two more capacitance values and see how the voltage changes. With C1, there is no crossing point and therefore no voltage is induced. When the capacitance is increased to C2 and C3, the voltage increases progressively. Based on the points so far, we can conclude that the voltage is decided by the capacitor value and the load. The condition for self-excitation at no load is IC should be greater than IM, where IC is a voltage divided by capacitive reactance and IM is a voltage divided by magnetizing reactance. Residual magnetic field is a requirement for excitation. Please remember, terminal voltage is also a function of IM. As a generalized statement, we may conclude that excitation is possible only when the capacitive susceptance is more than the unsaturated magnetic susceptance. This graph shows the impact of load on the terminal voltage when the induction generator is working in the isolated mode. There is a drastic change in terminal voltage when the load is changed. To maintain the voltage, the capacitor value may be adjusted. And as we have seen in the previous slide, if the power factor of the load is less, the requirement of capacitance will further increase. In summary, we shall see the important features of induction generators. Induction generators do not require DC excitation. The frequency of operation of induction generators is not rigidly linked with speed of operation when it is working with the grid. No synchronization is required since the voltage is induced only when it is connected to the grid. For grid connected generators, voltage and frequency are decided by the grid. In isolated systems, voltage and frequency are unstable, so practical applications are limited. The power factor of induction generator is always leading and is decided by the machine characteristic and loading. And the principle of induction generator may be used effectively for regenerative braking. Thank you for watching.